Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Education Series produced by the Australian Fitness Academy. It's like progressive overload for your brain. I'm your host, Tom Rock, and in today's episode, I interview Carolyn from ProNatal Fitness, one of our partners from the US. Get some insight into the ProNatal Fitness course, some benefits, and we talk all about fitness, exercise, and pregnancy, and some of the main takeaways that you can get out of a course such as this. So listen in. If you do have any questions, you can always reach out. Thanks for jumping on the podcast, Carolyn. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Yes, glad to be here.
Awesome. So so I get this right. You're the Chief Content Officer at ProNatal Fitness. Is that correct still?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Why don't we get started and you just give us maybe a bit of a background in your fitness journey, and I guess what led you to pre and postnatal fitness and what you're currently doing and that sort of stuff.
Yes, so I have been in the fitness industry for about 22 years now, and it started just like many do as a personal trainer
Yep.
working in a commercial gym. So I was at Equinox in the beginning of my career
Yep.
in New York City, which is where I'm from and continue to live.
Cool.
Um, so I was really taking as many clients as I could to build my book, general population, everything ranging from older clients, senior population. I had many in that age range, as well
Yep.
as younger clients who wanted to run for, train for a marathon. I had post-surgical clients, hip
Oh.
rehab, shoulder surgery. So you sort of become this broad generalist,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's not a negative statement by any stretch of the imagination, because
Not
it
at
takes
all.
a lot of skill, as you can imagine, right, to be able to
Absolutely.
manage all the needs of these different people. And I was also coming from an athletic background. So I was a competitive tennis player through college
Oh,
and
unreal.
always training like an athlete and having the mindset of an athlete.
Yep.
And so I took that mindset when I became pregnant, and
Mm.
I applied those certain training principles of preparing my body for a specific event, just like
Wow.
I was training for my tennis, excuse me,
Yep.
uh, training for my tennis competitions. And
Cool.
so melding that along with my background in what's called learning and control, which is where I got my master's degree in,
Yep.
um, looking at how we can create training environments that will best supplement and enhance someone's preparation for a training goal.
Yep. That's
And
cool.
so I came to this field of pre postnatal when I was pregnant and searching for good quality information and
Mm.
trying to figure out the noise from the evidence.
Yep.
And I found that to be really challenging to do, even though I had a master's degree and could read research. I
Yep.
still
Yep.
felt it was challenging. And I was
Wow.
imagining for the average person who didn't have that science background, how do they possibly know what to do during this time? And
Yeah.
so it was a very interesting process going through pregnancy. Again, training hard without having to really navigate any unforeseen negative issues,
Yep.
and had a very smooth delivery experience. But again, in the postpartum, try to figure out, okay, what should I be doing? How should I be doing it? What should
Yep.
I not be doing?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of questions that led me to want to fill the void that I found to be missing in this pre-postnatal space.
Yep.
And so I decided that I was going to take my experience and try to build education in this field.
That's really cool. I think the idea behind like taking the athlete side of training and where you train for specific goals and specific outcomes and sort of turning that around and relating to the outcome of birth and pregnancy is really cool concept. And
Yeah,
probably
and
gives it a
that
lot of structure too, because a lot of training outside of like because my background's sort of in athlete development as well. So
uh-huh.
all that training that I do with the general pop, I bring all the structure that you sort of learn through the athlete development to general pop training anyway. So applying that to pre and postnatal is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's something that I think we probably intuitively know, but have been couched around with all this fear that
Yeah.
if we're going to approach this population as if they were capable, as if they could handle stress,
Yep.
that we may be somehow undermining the health of the baby or the pregnancy outcomes.
Yep.
But that was all based on fear and not evidence. And
Yeah.
we finally started giving the evidence to support the efficacy of moderate to more intense based exercises as having positive outcomes.
Yep.
Then it just kind of all aligned. And so that's when we at ProNatal created what's called our performance training approach, which is, again, thinking about training for pregnancy like the major athletic event that it is.
That's awesome. So, I think we'll get to ProNatal, but you're a mum yourself. So,
Yes.
what sort of benefits, I guess, that you've obviously seen that you've brought to the ProNatal certificate and things like that? So, what are the main benefits do you think that you got from training through pregnancy and through postpartum and things like that?
Well, I think there's a tremendous physical benefit, obviously, because this time being pregnant, all the changes that go on with your body, having child birth, that whole experience,
Yeah. Yep.
regardless of the delivery type. But, and then you're very active with all these tasks of parenthood, and it's a very
Mm,
physical existence. And we tend to not talk about that. But the fitter you are during pregnancy, the easier it makes all of the other stuff. And so
yep.
I felt very physically capable and confident, as
Mm,
well as psychologically feeling like I have given myself the best possible chance during this very unknown period to be able to thrive as best as I could. I prepared well. And so
that's
I
really
think
cool.
that, that confidence just continues on as your child gets bigger and
Yep.
heavier, you're able to maneuver and manipulate them, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, so it was only positive benefits for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you currently still coach and PT a number of mums and
Yes,
or
I
pregnant
do.
women? That's awesome.
Yes. Yep.
So we sort of touched on it briefly, but like the knowledge that they have outside of coming to you and training around it is still pretty hard to find, do you think, in this area? I think in Australia as well, you're sort of just relying on the GP, I guess, to give you general basic information of, oh, keep doing what you're doing, sort of stuff.
So it's interesting because there is no dearth of information. It's just the quality of the
Mm,
information varies widely.
yep,
In addition, medical providers are generally incredibly well intentioned, but not that well informed when it comes to exercise.
yep.
And so, even my doctor,
Mm.
knowing what I did, told
Yep.
me I could not get my heart rate over 140 beats per minute and
Yeah.
shouldn't be lifting anything more than 20 pounds.
Yep.
And it's very hard when you've been indoctrinated to think a certain thing, to
Yep.
think outside of that box. And there's no reason why we should be giving these blanket recommendations that are
Mm.
based on 40-year-old guidelines when every person is different.
Yep.
Everyone has different levels of conditioning and experience and at different stages of their pregnancy. We should not be giving blanket recommendations, period.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a really, really cool insight, I think, because they do give blanket recommendations, I think, on their part. It's like, yep, just keep doing what you're doing or keep it. But realistically, that doesn't necessarily answer everyone's question about, well, if they go in and go, well, what exercise can I do? Just keep doing what you're doing. Well, at some stage that may change or I might not feel right or I'm going to have to slow down eventually, potentially lift slightly lighter
Mhm.
things, adjust movements that I'm doing. So I think there's a huge part um, to play into that. So in terms of the ProNatal certificate,
Uh-huh.
like there's a lot of obviously benefits to completing that, but how do you see that fitting in and what does it give you to help you with these clients, I guess?
Well, I would say the first thing, and possibly the most important, is
Yep.
that as coaches, we want to feel like we can be competent, capable supporters of our
Yep.
clients, regardless of what their goals are. And so, especially for those who may never have been through the process of pregnancy themselves, it is so important that we learn as much as we can to
Mm.
understand how the body is changing, to understand the demands that these changes are placing on the client, and to understand what they're actually training for so that we can create programs that address the specific needs of this journey. And
Yep.
so being well educated is the first step in being able to be a more effective coach for your clients. The other thing that keeps I think our education fresh and very effective is the fact that you want to feel confident when someone
Mm.
comes to you and says, "Hey, I'm pregnant. Can you help me?"
Yep.
You don't want to have question marks flying around. You want to feel like, "Yes, I know exactly what I need to do to help you." Obviously, it's going to be a conversation as we continue on this journey, but I feel confident that I have a programming structure in place that is flexible, that will guide you along the
Mm.
different stages of your journey. So it's doing yourself a service by being able to educate yourself to support your clients, but also recognize that your clients who are pregnant are influencing the
Yep.
health and outcomes of the next generation.
Yeah. Yep.
So much research to connect a more active and fit pregnancy to better long-term health outcomes. So when we're working with these clients during pregnancy, we're actually influencing the health of the next generation. So there's an incredible opportunity here to empower these clients as they go through this process.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think the idea that, and that's one thing I sort of wrote down that I sort of wanted to touch on, is the confidence it would give someone to work with this population. Because I think it is something that if you've never done it or you've never learned about it or you sort of know a little bit, they come in and you go,
Yeah.
you don't want to do too much, or you sort of take the cautious approach, which is probably good, but also it's good to know what you can get away with or what you can do, especially for someone who's been training in going into their pregnancy. I think is really good. Um, and yeah, going forward, I think sometimes pregnancy is the kickstart that go people, oh, well, I should probably be training to be healthy because maybe they haven't trained before, but they go, well, I really want great outcomes for my child. And then taking someone from doing nothing to maybe starting their training journey potentially.
Yeah, and we also see in my personal experience, but then
Yeah.
also we hear from a lot of our coaches that after someone has gone through that process with you, that
Yep.
trainer client relationship, that's going to continue on because
Absolutely.
now they see how important and essential it is to
Mm,
stay fit and strong
yep.
with a young child. And then that just becomes a part of their lifestyle.
Yep.
So you're really gaining clients for many years if you're
Yeah.
able to see them through this period of time.
Yep. That's so cool. I think yeah, it's a great space to be in, and it's probably very rewarding, I assume, as well, seeing all these
Oh,
mums
yeah.
and stuff, and being able to help them through, and that's really cool. Um, some of the challenges, is there many challenges, I guess, working with this space? Obviously, once you have the knowledge, do you think, like people starting from different places, like postpartum, if a client's come in and they haven't really been able to do much physical activity at all before the birth in the previous 9 months, getting back to resistance training, is that sort of is there time periods you put on that, or is it super individualized?
It's generally incredibly hard to pinpoint because it really depends on how much time this person has been training or devoted to at least some form of self-care before
Yep.
they even get to training. And then we have to work on reconnecting them into their deep core system
Mm,
because that has been very much disrupted during
yeah.
the months of pregnancy as well as during the potential traumas of childbirth.
Yep.
And so we believe that the slow is fast approach is the most effective, trying to get people to understand how to create this motor pattern from the
Mm,
brain to this deep core system, using a lot of gentle breath work to start, gentle pelvic floor work to start. And then once we get them strong and connected from the inside, then we work outwards to
yeah.
try to
Cool.
get them more capable in basic movement patterns, stronger. And then when they're capable enough, we start to add higher performance variables like speeds, adding impact very methodically back so they can get back to doing the things that they love, whether it's running or kickboxing or dance class or whatever it is.
Yep.
We want to make sure that they have built that foundation in a very slow and progressive way.
Yeah. That's really cool. My partner is actually 38-week pregnant
Oh
currently.
my gosh.
I know, it's crazy. So the timing of this couldn't be better. Um, and I'll never experience obviously childbirth and growing a baby, but I didn't really think about it until she's going through it. But her ability not to even sit up now because her belly's so big and basically her abdominal muscles and stuff just don't function because there's a huge baby inside her.
Yes.
And that's what starts me thinking, well, yeah, she's going to come out of this and she's going to have to, like you said, probably learn to use her core muscles from scratch again.
Yes. Yes. So we primarily when it comes to pronatal education, we for our fit pros, we talk about a specific core recovery protocol that we take all of our clients through,
Yep.
whether they had a vaginal delivery or C-section. But it's the same premise. It's just learning how to get in good alignment, how to reconnect to this system that has been disrupted for many, many months,
Yep.
breath work, pelvic floor work, and then integrating that into basic patterns like squatting, lunging, hinging, pulling, pushing, so forth.
Yep.
And then once that becomes automated, that connection, then we can get more sophisticated with the programming variables.
Yeah, that's really cool. And this, I guess, so if we go back to the ProNatal course and the certificate, this is what the certificate is aimed to do is help upskill personal trainers, I guess, in being confident in how to take someone through those phases.
Exactly. Yes. So we talk about in the prenatal section of the course, which is quite substantial.
Yep.
We talk about how to progress someone regardless of their stage of pregnancy, their age, their fitness level, taking everyone through a foundation so that they learn basic objectives like neutral alignment. How do they
Yeah, cool.
maintain their positioning so that when they get to be much more pregnant, and you may see this firsthand right now, um, there are so many forces, both internal and external, that want to pull the body out of neutral alignment.
Yep.
And so just the act of staying in neutral is core training, and it
Mm,
is working the body's ability to resist that pull. So, teaching everyone how to get in good alignment, how to activate their core through the breath in 3 dimensions is very important.
yep.
And then building more and more competency and getting more and more specific with the skills as they get closer to delivery. So, again, going back to that athlete analogy, the closer they get towards
Mm,
competition day, the more specific the training becomes.
yep.
So we do, specific breath and body work to practice both physical and mental skills in
Awesome.
preparation for Labor Day.
Yep.
And we do kind of the same thing on the postpartum side of things, where we bring people slowly back into their bodies and then build them with a progressive
Mm,
programming matrix so that they
yep.
get further along and can get back to all the things that they enjoy doing.
That's awesome. I'm sure, yeah, the certificate, adding that certificate, and the knowledge, I think, to personal training, just it gives you that ability to go into the space with confidence because I think it is such a rewarding area that it is that the more personal trainers that can pass on this information, the better.
100%. When I first started my career, I did take a pre and postnatal certification.
Yep.
And at the time I went through it, I thought, okay, I'm ready to handle this population
Yeah.
until I got my first client.
Yeah.
And then I realized, you know what? In fact, there's a lot missing. And so we were really focused on giving actionable and
Mm,
practical tools to people, everything from programming to coaching skills to movement assessment skills, because we really wanted to give that confidence so that the client can feel comfortable.
yeah,
Not
absolutely.
just from the trainer point of view, I want to know what I'm doing, but I also want to give this person the knowledge that this is a journey that I feel
Mm,
comfortable taking you on. And that puts that client at ease because they can have trust in you that you know what you're doing, right?
absolutely, because it's a time I think also a lot of women are asking questions as well, so they're trying to find out the correct answers too. So you can sort of be that support as well.
100%. And that's one of the benefits too of becoming specialized is that you become the expert. And
Mm,
then that client who has a great experience with you is going to tell friends. And
yep.
that client is going to give you a lot of referrals. And then that network just keeps on
Mm,
building.
yep.
So, it makes great business sense if you want to specialize to be able to increase your prices because you
Yep.
are the specialist in your area.
Yep.
And then you keep networking with allied professionals like doctors, doulas, lactation consultants, mental health professionals. And so you can just provide a more robust service for this clientele.
Yeah. A very rewarding space, I think, for sure to get into.
Yes.
Um, Thanks for jumping on, Carolyn. Very, very great to chat and hear more about the pronatal journey and the certificate. If anybody wanted to contact you, are you happy if I chuck your email into the description of the podcast?
100%. Yes, absolutely. We're happy to do that. We love to
Awesome.
hear from our friends in Australia and
Yeah,
happy to have our partnership with AFA.
yeah, no, we love it. I've had a bit of a look through the course, mainly the course manual, but it's really well put together and well structured, I think, from a course flow and like you said, super practical. So you can go away and you've got a lot of information, but also it sort of guides you in how to apply it in different situations as well.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
that was the most important part for us because we've all been to continuing education
Mm,
courses and we love the information and theoretically it sounds great,
yeah.
but then Monday morning we're thinking, "Oh my gosh, how do I apply any of this?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we were very, very focused on it being big on takeaways, and many of the takeaways apply to all of your client populations.
Yep.
So that's another key benefit. It's not just prenatal clients who need good alignment and good breath work. For
Even
everybody.
Yeah, even the pelvic floor stuff can be important for a wide range of clients because it's something that if you haven't really learnt a lot or done much experience in it, it's a completely new sort of um, idea.
Yes. And even our male clients have pelvic floors. So
Yeah,
they
exactly right.
may be
Exactly right.
surprised to know this.
But yeah, it's also super important, which is very cool. So yeah, really good knowledge that will you'll be able to apply practically and yeah, build your confidence, I think, because that's the most important thing. Even if you have a lot of clients now that aren't pregnant, there's a fair chance they may at some stage get pregnant. You want the confidence to be able to assist them through the whole journey, I think.
100%.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Carolyn. I'm sure it might not be the last podcast we jump on and do because we love to have you
Yeah,
back, I'm sure.
I'd be happy to do it. I appreciate it. Thank you
No,
so much for the chance to talk.
nah, not a problem. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Carolyn. If you do have any questions for me or Carolyn in regards to this episode, please email them through to tom@afa.com.au. More than happy to pass them on to Carolyn, or yeah, we can look at getting another podcast out as well if you want to expand on these topics. If you are interested in completing your pre and postnatal certificate with ProNatal Fitness, um, send me an email as well, or you can email info@afa.com.au. They are our partners, so we are able to put you in touch and organise an enrolment for you. So if you are interested in this really good course that they've put together, get in touch as well. Other than that, guys, have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon.